Hi, in this tutorial we're going to be looking at making our enemies move. Right now we only have an enemy that detects a collision and moves it to another scene. So to show you how this works, if I press P, you'll notice that my block basically goes back and forth like an enemy might do on your board. Here's a basic setup. You notice that we're using a lot of the same logic. However, we have a state. You'll notice that two little dots here, two different states, and so that will determine kind of when it goes back and forth and what it does. So let's set this up in a new document and go through it. Alright, so first of all, set up my screen with my logic editor. Press N to get rid of that. Zoom in a little bit. Alright, so for now we're just going to have our enemy as our block. Obviously you can change it later on in yours. The first thing we want to do is add a always. So we always want it to do something. So in this case we're always going to want it to go along the x-axis. So make sure to go local. So the block will go along my x-axis. So my next one is a motion, and I want it to go, let's say 0.1 along the x-axis. I put that together. If I press P, oops, I'm going to make sure I'm in Blender game. Press P, and there it goes. And it's going to go on forever. So obviously we don't want it to happen forever, but before we do that, let me quickly show you this button right here. This plus button brings up my states. So for my second state, notice if I go to my second state, everything disappears. Okay. For my second state, I want it to go negatively along the x-axis. So I'm going to go along here, always, and it's going to be a motion. In this case, it's going to be minus 0.1. Okay. And I'm going to connect it. And if I press P now, it goes that way. So first state goes that way, second state goes that way. Perfect. So going back to my first state, what I want to do is set a timer that after a certain amount of time, it switches states. So I'm going to add another sensor, and this is going to be called delay. Okay. So my delay sensor, and his duration has to do with your frame rate. My refresh rate is 60. So everything happens in 60 seconds. So, sorry, 60 equals 1 second. So if I want it to last 2 seconds before it turns, obviously it's 120. Okay. So after 120, I am going to add an actuator. And you'll notice there is an actuator called state. So I'm going to set my state to the second one. So right now I'm moving along the x-axis. After 2 seconds, switch to my second state. So let's see how that looks. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Press P. Whoops, nope. That is not going to work because I'm not. Hold on. All right. So what was I saying? So my first state, let me press P now. Why is it still going left? Hold on. I noticed I was putting my duration for 120. That doesn't make any sense. It's a delay. Delay for 120. So after 2 seconds, it changes. So let's have a look now. It goes this way, 1, 2, and it should go back. But our problem right now is that we don't have one that brings it back. So going back to my second state, okay, let's do this right this time. A delay, and delay of 120. And my actuator is going to set my state. Set my state back to the first one. Make sure it says set state. Back to my first one. Select it. Now if I press P, it goes that way and then comes back, etc. So in your game, obviously you can add your other collision parameters and such and make it work. Now, again, you might want to, if I have, like for example, the Susie, the monkey face, add after delay, not only changing state, but also which way it faces. Good luck. Repeat this and then move on to your 20% time.